So it seems like we're diving into overthinking today
Yeah.
and how to maybe escape those thought spirals.
Right.
And, you know,
Using the law of
it's the
attraction.
law of attraction, yeah.
Exactly.
Who hasn't spent way too much time in those what ifs
Yeah.
and second guessing everything?
Right. It's so common.
It's so common.
Yeah.
You said some fascinating research on the law of attraction, though. So today, we're going to see if it can actually help us break free from overthinking.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that idea because one thing that your source material does is it kind of positions overthinking not just as mentally exhausting,
Right.
but as a real barrier
Oh, wow.
to happiness and progress.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really interesting way of looking at it because I think we often think,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm just tired because I'm thinking too much.
Right.
But this is like, no, it's actually preventing you from,
yeah.
being happy and achieving your goals.
Yeah.
And they use this really vivid image of thoughts swirling above your head
Oh, I love that.
like a chaotic storm cloud.
It's so true.
Yeah, which I think really captures that feeling of just being stuck
Oh, it's so true.
in your head.
It's such a good analogy. I mean, have you ever felt that way?
All the time.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, yes. Like your thoughts are just a runaway train. You just can't stop.
It's like a hamster wheel.
Yeah. And it's not just draining. It's like you said, it can keep you from actually moving forward in life.
Absolutely.
So then how does this law of attraction,
Yeah.
this whole idea that attracts,
Yeah.
how does that even come into play here?
So the source explains it as that your dominant thoughts shape your reality.
Okay.
So if you're constantly focused on, all the negative things, you're more likely to kind of attract those negative experiences.
Oh, wow.
But if you can cultivate more of a positive mindset,
Right.
then you can start to attract more positive outcomes.
Okay.
It's all about energy. It's almost like your mind is a magnet.
Okay, so if I'm constantly worrying about failing a test, I'm actually sending out vibes that increase my chances of failing.
In a way,
That's kind of scary,
it is a little intimidating.
but also fascinating at the same time. So
Yeah.
let's get practical.
Okay.
How can we actually use this to stop overthinking?
So they have 5 steps in your source material.
Okay.
The first one is awareness.
Okay.
It sounds really simple,
Right?
but you'd be surprised how often we're overthinking and we don't even realize it.
Right.
So the key is to catch yourself in the act.
Okay.
So journaling can be a great tool for this,
Uh-huh.
just to become more aware of those patterns,
Oh,
or even just taking a few mindful moments throughout the day
Got it.
to kind of check in with your thoughts.
So it's like hitting the pause button
Exactly.
on your thoughts and being like, hold on, are these thoughts helping me or are they stressing me out?
Exactly.
What happens once you're aware of it, though?
Then you move to step 2.
Which is all about shifting your focus.
Okay.
So instead of dwelling on what you don't want to happen, you visualize the outcome that you desire.
Got it.
So think about what you want to attract into your life.
Yeah.
Like let's say you have a big presentation coming up. Instead of getting caught up in the fear of messing up,
Yeah.
what if you spent time visualizing yourself, confidently delivering a successful presentation?
I see. So it's about consciously directing your thoughts towards the positive.
Exactly.
I can see how that would kind of break free from those negative thought spirals.
Yeah.
What's the next step?
So the third step emphasizes the power of gratitude.
Okay.
And I think this is so important because it's so easy to get caught up in what's going wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But actively focusing on what you're grateful for can be a complete game changer.
Totally.
Gratitude has this amazing ability to shift your energy from negative to positive.
I'd like that.
So what are 3 things you're grateful for right now?
Just take a moment and really feel that appreciation.
That's such a good point. It's like a mental reset button.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on what's missing, you're appreciating what you have.
Exactly.
So we have awareness, shifting our focus, and gratitude.
Right.
What's next in our little journey to stop overthinking?
Step 4 might be one that you've heard of before.
Okay.
Affirmations.
Okay.
Now, I know they can sometimes feel a little cheesy,
Yeah.
but the idea behind them is incredibly powerful.
Okay.
Essentially, you're choosing to replace those negative thoughts swirling around
Right.
with positive, empowering statements.
So instead of, I'm going to mess this up, it's more like, I am capable and prepared.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's about consciously rewiring your thought patterns.
Cool.
Your source even provides specific examples like,
Okay.
I attract peace and success, or I am in control of my thoughts.
Interesting.
And just by repeating these phrases, you're essentially retraining your brain to focus on what you want
Okay.
rather than what you
So it's almost like creating a new soundtrack for your mind,
I love that.
replacing the negative self-talk with like an empowering anthem.
Ah,
But this is making me think about those moments when you know you should be positive,
mm-hmm.
but that nagging voice of doubt keeps creeping back in.
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
That's where the final step comes in.
Okay.
And arguably the most challenging one,
Oh, boy.
letting go of control.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
We want to be in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
We want to map out every detail.
Right.
How does letting go of control help with overthinking?
Well, often that need to control everything stems from fear of the unknown.
I see.
And the source actually says that overthinking is often fueled by this fear.
Okay.
So if we can learn to loosen our grip a little bit and
Yeah.
trust that things will work out even if we don't have all the answers, then we create space for the universe to kind of work its magic.
So it's like saying, okay, universe,
Yeah.
I've done my part.
Yeah.
I trust that you've got my back. That's a big leap of faith for a lot of people,
It is.
especially when we're used to overanalyzing every little detail.
Right.
But I'm curious, does this actually work in the real world?
Yeah.
Are there examples of people who've successfully used the law of attraction
Mm-hmm.
to overcome overthinking and reach their goals?
That's where things get really interesting.
Before we get to those examples, though,
Mm-hmm.
there's something I've been kind of wondering about.
Okay.
This law of attraction stuff sounds a bit
Yeah.
like magic.
Right.
Like if I just sit here thinking happy thoughts, all my problems are going to disappear.
Right.
Is that really all there is to it?
Yeah, that's a really common misconception.
Okay.
It's important to remember that the law of attraction isn't about denying reality
Yeah.
or passively wishing for things to change.
Right.
It's about taking responsibility for your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that they have a real impact
Yeah.
on your experiences.
So it's not about ignoring problems,
Yeah.
but approaching them with a more like empowered mindset.
It's about recognizing that your thoughts create energy
Mm-hmm.
and that energy interacts with the world around you.
Interesting.
So if you're constantly focused on negativity and fear,
Right.
you're more likely to attract experiences that
Mm.
reflect those emotions.
Makes sense.
But if you can train your mind to focus on solutions and possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
then you open yourself up to a whole new realm of opportunities.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this works.
Yeah,
It's like you're choosing to become a magnet for what you want
exactly.
rather than what you fear.
Yeah,
But isn't there a danger of becoming overly optimistic with this?
sure.
What about those times when it feels like no amount of positive thinking is going to change the situation?
Right. Well, that's where discernment comes in.
Okay.
The law of attraction isn't about blindly believing
Yeah.
that everything will be perfect.
Okay.
It's about cultivating a sense of possibility
Right.
while also staying grounded in reality.
So you're not ignoring reality.
No,
Yeah.
life throws curveballs.
For sure.
But even in those tough moments,
Mm-hmm.
this approach can be a source of strength.
I'm not sure I follow.
Okay?
How can thinking positive thoughts actually help when things are really difficult?
Okay, so instead of getting completely bogged down in negativity,
Mm-hmm.
you can use the principles we've been talking about
Right.
to find like a glimmer of hope.
Okay.
Practice gratitude for the things you do have,
Okay.
visualize a positive outcome,
Uh-huh.
and affirm your ability to get through it.
So it's not about pretending the problem doesn't exist.
Right.
It's more about choosing to focus on a path forward.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So it's less about magic and more about using your mind to create a more empowered reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be this huge, overwhelming shift.
Mhm.
Even small changes can have a big impact.
Okay.
What if you committed to replacing one negative thought
Okay.
with a positive one each day?
That's a good challenge.
Right. It's a really simple practice, but it can start to shift your entire perspective.
That's a great challenge for our listeners.
Yeah.
But I'm still curious about those real-world examples.
Yeah.
Does the source material offer any insights into how successful people
Yes.
use the law of attraction to overcome overthinking?
It absolutely does.
Fine.
It points out that many high achievers,
Okay.
from athletes to entrepreneurs,
Uh-huh.
attribute their success in part to aligning their thoughts with their goals.
Okay.
They visualize their desired outcomes.
Okay.
They focus on their strengths,
Mhm.
and they cultivate an unshakable belief
Right.
in their ability to succeed.
So they're not just passively wishing for success.
Right.
They're actively using their minds to help them achieve it.
Precisely.
Wow.
It's about recognizing the power of your thoughts
Right.
and intentionally directing them towards what you want to create.
That reminds me of something you mentioned earlier about letting go of control.
Mm.
I think a lot of people struggle with that because they equate control with security.
Right. That's a great observation.
Yeah.
I think it's important to distinguish between healthy control
Yeah.
and trying to micromanage every aspect of our lives.
Right. It's like the difference between steering a ship and trying to control the waves.
Yes.
You can set a course
Right.
and make adjustments along the way,
Exactly.
but you can't control the weather or the currents.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And when we try to over-control, we often end up creating more stress and anxiety.
Right.
We resist the natural flow of life.
Yeah.
And miss out on opportunities that might be right in front of us.
This whole conversation is making me rethink my relationship with overthinking.
Yeah.
I've always seen it as this like negative force.
Right.
But maybe it's trying to tell me something.
That's a really insightful perspective.
Yeah.
What if instead of trying to suppress those thoughts, we try to understand them?
What do you mean?
Well, sometimes our overthinking is trying to protect us from getting hurt or making mistakes.
Right.
It's like an overprotective friend
Yeah.
who means well, but can be a bit much sometimes.
Totally. So instead of judging ourselves for overthinking,
Right.
we can try to understand the underlying fear or insecurity that's driving those thoughts.
Exactly. Once we understand the root of the problem,
Yeah.
we can start to address it in a more compassionate and effective way.
I love that approach. It's like making friends with our overthinking minds
Yeah.
instead of battling them constantly.
Right.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done right.
Absolutely. It takes practice and patience.
Yeah.
But the more we can cultivate self-awareness and self-compassion, the more we can transform our relationship with overthinking.
Okay. I'm feeling inspired to try some of these techniques.
Awesome.
But there is one thing I keep coming back to.
Okay.
The source material mentions trusting the universe.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I fully grasp what that means
Yeah.
in a practical sense.
That's a great question.
When the source talks about trusting the universe,
Right.
what does that even look like in everyday life?
Right.
It's a bit abstract, you know?
Yeah, it can feel very abstract.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of the universe
Right.
can mean different things to different people.
Oh, look.
For some, it might be a spiritual concept. For others, it's more about
Yes.
recognizing the interconnectedness of everything.
Okay.
But the key takeaway here is that trusting the universe isn't about passively waiting
Right.
for good things to happen.
So it's not just wishing on a star
Exactly.
and hoping for the best.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's about having faith that even when things are tough, there's a larger force at play that's ultimately guiding you
Okay.
towards what's best for you.
Interesting.
But it's up to you
Right.
to take aligned action and maintain that positive mindset we talked about.
So it's more about trusting the process and believing that things will eventually work out,
Yeah.
even if you don't have all the answers right now.
Yeah. Okay. Think of it like planting a seed.
Mm-hmm.
You can't force it to grow,
Right.
but you can create the right conditions,
Yeah.
sunlight, water, good soil.
Okay.
And then you have to trust that nature will take its course.
That's a great analogy.
Mm-hmm.
So in the context of overthinking, trusting the universe might mean letting go of the need to control every outcome
Exactly.
and having faith that even if you make a mistake or things don't go exactly as planned, you'll learn and grow from the experience.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's about surrendering to the flow of life, knowing that you've done your part.
Yeah.
By setting intentions, taking action, and maintaining a positive outlook.
Right.
Now, I know this can be a really challenging concept to grasp,
It is.
especially when you're used to
Yeah.
overanalyzing and overthinking everything.
There's one more thing that comes to mind when we talk about trusting the universe.
Okay.
If we're like shaping our reality with our thoughts, does that mean we don't have free will?
That's a common question. And it's important to understand that the law of attraction doesn't negate free will.
Okay.
You always have the choice to focus on the positive or the negative.
Okay.
What this principle highlights is the power of your choices.
So it's not about being like a puppet of the universe.
Right.
It's about actively using your mind to create the life you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The law of attraction simply suggests that
Right.
if you choose to focus on fear and doubt,
Mm-hmm.
you're more likely to attract situations that reflect those emotions.
That makes sense.
But if you consciously choose to focus on love, gratitude, and possibility,
Right.
then you open yourself up to a world of amazing opportunities.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
I agree.
We've explored how overthinking can keep us stuck,
Yeah.
but also how we can use the law of attraction to shift our mindset
Mm-hmm.
and attract more positivity into our lives.
It's really about making that choice.
It is.
To become the architect of your own reality.
I love that. And for everyone listening out there, if you could stop overthinking just one thing in your life, what would it be?
Good question.
And why? Maybe journaling about it would give you some clarity.
Great idea.
Until next time, happy thinking.